Jungle Africa. Yesterday, I was very lucky to come across a young man from the United States. His name is David Itson. Uh, our meeting revived a thought in me that the need for the restoration of black dignity is becoming very important day by day. The tide is turning, and it is turning very fast. Like I said, the ancestors are very angry. We have ignored this topic for a very long time, that there should be a reconciliation between races. And as you know, that our topic is about the restoration of black dignity. It is high time that everyone should come together and think about the redressing of the wrong, especially on slavery. I am negatively touched by people like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the Republican governor of Arkansas, who still believes that if we talk about our history, because unfortunately the African history will always be intertwined with American history, and there is no two-way about it. There's nothing we can do about it. The end to black indignation has to come to an end. This is something that can never be stopped by anybody. It has to happen. The catastrophes that are happening everywhere in the world are a good sign that now the ancestors are angry. We have left this pain to go on for a very long time. I want to thank everybody, including the descendants of slave masters, who seem to be very agitated when we talk about slavery. Slavery is ours, it was done to us. But we don't want anybody who benefited from slavery to even lift a finger when it comes to slavery. It is our tragedy, and we have the power to deal with it. Those ancestors who were taken from Africa were actually warriors. They were taken away from Africa because they were warriors. They were the guardians of a nation. Their duty was to look after cattle and till the land so that people cannot starve. It was their duty. They were warriors. Sometimes they would go to battles with other tribes, and it is where this tragedy of slavery came about, because sometimes when captured, they would be then sold to slavery by the conquering chiefs. That is why I'm saying the issue about reparations should not be the prerogative of the descendants of slave masters. The reparation should be and must be our prerogative. We were the ones who suffered the tragedy of slavery. So, and we are not going to blame anyone about it. It was meant to be. So if we talk about it, nobody should stop us. Because I will tell you now that in Africa today, when we hear of George Floyd having been killed, or Daniel having been shot by a policeman, and that policeman goes scot-free without having been given the right punishment for his deeds. We are saying it is a wake-up call for every African, wherever he may be, that the time is now to pray to our ancestors that the descendants of slave masters must continue with their sleep and slumber, but the descendants of slaves should now wake up from their slumber and think Africa. The calamity that we see today of people sleeping under the bridges with no food has to be brought to an end by us and no one else. We are not going to be going around asking for handouts when we are such a wealthy nation. We are a wealthy nation because we've got the energy and we've got the brains. I am saying and appealing to any African in the diaspora and in Africa, all the chiefs and kings of Africa, that whenever our kids come back to the motherland, they should be welcome. They should be given their legacy, which is land, to use and till and plow so that they don't starve. The dignity of an African nation will be restored when we become the providers of food security all over the world. And it is very easy. We are not going to be going around begging anybody for funding. This will be funded by us, for us, and for the whole world. I am also touched by people like NOLAN, who are advocating for what is called the AP African American Studies, that is being rejected by the powers that be, like Sarah HUCKABEE Sanders in Arkansas. I say to you, please keep on the good work. We need to know the African history because it is important. There will be no American history without African history, because if you see the beauty of America today, it was derived from the black sweat and blood. There is nothing wrong with Africans waking up from their slumber and saying, why can't we do the same thing for our motherland, which is Africa? Unfortunately, it has to be done. We cannot stop now. This is a runaway train that can never be stopped by any force, by any army in the world. The people have woken up. The people want to know who they are. Africa is rising, and nobody's going to stop it. So I am very happy to know that now the Americans in the diaspora want to know their origins, want to know as to how they ended up in America and in Jamaica and elsewhere in the world. Let us not forget that up to 1884, Africa did not have borders. Africa was one country where you could move from Cape to Cairo without any visa, without any hindrance from anybody. Let us go back to those years when any African can come from any part of the world and walk from Cape to Cairo without being asked as to what he does in his or her motherland. That time is now. All I'm saying to the descendants of slave masters, relax and enjoy the black African sweat and blood that your ancestors made for you. You do not have to lift a finger or say anything about slavery because you know nothing about slavery. You only benefited out of it. So just enjoy the ride and let my people wake up in their slumber and realize who they are. Knowing your history does not mean you should hate those who do not look like you. The studies that are being carried in Little Rock about that AP African American studies, it is not about indoctrination. It is about waking up Africans from their slumber. It is not about teaching people hatred. Africa does not hate. Africa is a nurturer. Everywhere in the world, when you see a beautiful city, you must know that that city was built out of the African sweat and blood. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, all we are saying, we want our people to come and claim their inheritance, which is a land that everybody wants to come and exploit for mineral resources. Let our people come back and enjoy being African. When you come to Africa, do not go and claim anything from Johannesburg, because Johannesburg has been taken by people who do not understand. Do not go to Durban, do not go to Cape Town. Come to Africa, come to the rural villages of Africa, that you will see the pure Africans embracing you, because I am you, because we are because of you. So welcome to Africa. Come back to Africa. Come, let us enjoy Africa. Let us show that we are the most wealthiest nation in the world. And if you don't do that, other nations will despise us. Jambo, Africa.